Okay. You guys catch me now? You guys hear me? Is this good? I think I've got it fixed. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Now we can start. God, this is horrible. I don't know. I don't know why. I'm relearning the OBS software, and it doesn't make sense sometimes, and it does weird things. It decides to change. I just selected an existing profile from my last stream, and it did not work. So I've been going through and setting it up. I've been making some changes to so that way I can share a secondary screen that I'm going to have some videos off of YouTube to talk about. So thank you, Tran, for helping. Anybody else? I've got one other viewer in there. Everyone else seems to have left. So now I've got a commercial playing on the side of my screen. But all right. So quick thing I'm going to go over is when you get a job, you go to work and everything, you want to have kind of an extra go bag. Like if anything bad happens on a job site, we're talking about you get wet, covered in poo. I mean, anything could happen on the job. So there's several things you want to have in a bag with you. Pair of socks, extra t-shirt, underwear, pants. In extreme cases, if you know you're going to be working in some really bad conditions, maybe an old pair of boots that you can swap to if the ones you're wearing become uncomfortable, destroyed, or for whatever reason. Some other things I keep: painkillers, anti-inflammatories. You want some sunblock. Keep some sunblock with you in a bag. Extra water. I keep protein bars. And this is something I can carry either in my truck or in my rig if I want to. Extra earplugs, just in case you need that stuff. And something that I like to keep on me is some eye care, just lubricant. And that's, I mean, sometimes you're sitting there as an operator, you will be concentrating so much on what you're doing, you'll forget to blink. And your eyes will get dry. Maybe you'll get some dust in your eyes. And you just need a little flush. You don't want to go to the truck and do an eye wash thing, because that's a big waste, because they want you to use the entire bottle. So a couple little drops lubricates, helps flush out anything you got in there, and you're good to go. Yeah, so most important is some probably food if you're working those long shifts. If you're working the long shifts, you've also got a lunchbox. So this bag that I have is a extra bag that I carry with me. For me, it's these few items here, and I have a lunchbox separate, which I keep all my cold food in. Extra water, things like that. So, if there's anything in particular you guys want to chit-chat about, go ahead and throw that in the chat. I know I had a guy yesterday, is that you, Amtran, that was on chat with me? I don't know. I had a guy yesterday that got on chat with me, young guy from high school, was asking me questions. Bring up see what he was. We actually had a pretty good conversation. He was asking for advice about civil construction. That's a broad question to ask. So I tried to dig for a little more information He just wanted to know about the things I do. Okay, well, I have lots of videos on the things I do. So we get into some more. I ask him some more questions. Okay, Trent, I gotcha. So just so you know, this is for the video. It's gonna go up live. I'm gonna have to edit out this first portion that was a shit show, and then we'll get back to it. So you're still in high school. So I'm gathering that you're looking for information on future endeavors or future job careers, and construction in a whole, as a whole, well, in general, it's a career. So you can pick what part of construction you want to get into. There's a lot of different ways you go: laborers, operators, management. If you get into management, you can do that a couple of different ways. You can get into management through being a field worker, and the best people that are in management are people that were previously field workers. Those are the people that are going to know what's going on in the field, understand what's going on in the field, and can make decisions in the office that make sense in the field. So that, in general, is what the big thing is. You're saying that you love construction vehicles, especially the big cats. Yeah, that's I love Caterpillar as well. So I've got some pictures set up here. Let me see. So I got a video here. Let me see if I can get this thing figured out. And why is this thing doing that now? Okay, I got it. Okay, transition. We'll do a little. There we go. So now what I've got here is I've got a YouTube channel up, and you can see another window open. And what it is I'm going to go ahead and I'll hit play on this, and we'll talk about it a little bit as it plays. So what we've got here is a Cat 395. This is a 95-ton excavator. He's loading these large trucks, and this is a really big machine. This is a machine you will not see out on a project. I think on regular projects like the work I do, I think the largest you're going to see is maybe a 390, and that's going to be rare depending on the company. So what the guy's doing right now is he's just cleaning up a parking area for the dump truck to back into and load it. So you can see he's got it cleaned up. He's getting the truck backed in. Now the truck driver is backing in a way that is a little bit close for my taste. I'd like to see him be a little bit further away. When you get to a certain point of being too close to a truck, the problem is the machine, you have to boom up so far, and you wind up in a tucked in position that is going to cause you trouble with dumping the material. So I'm actually surprised that they're using this small of a machine with that big of a dump truck. And this is more of a mining type style dig, where they dig into the slope and throw it into the... Of course there's a commercial. Skip. So this is how usually mining works, is they dig into the hillside, bringing it down to a grade. And if you notice, to solve the problem that I was talking about having a hard time reaching into the truck, the excavator has built himself a bit of a plateau to here, use my mouse, a plateau under his tracks to lift the machine up higher to make it easier to load the truck. So once he gets loaded, truck's going to drive away, and they'll circle around and they'll do the whole thing all over again. And it's a repetitive thing. All right. PM 6548, weird name. My lifelong dream has always been to run excavators. I mean, excavators are just fun. I mean, I've been doing underground, I guess. Now, if we discount my apprenticeship program that I went through, I spent 3 to 4 years as an apprentice, mostly running loader, backfill compactors, scrapers, other things. I bounced around to a few different companies. I got a very well-rounded education in the beginning of my career. I was a grade setter. I was so I learned all the grade setting mathematics and everything that go into construction. I was a scraper hand. I ran the big scrapers. Let's see if I can pull up a video of a scraper. Oh, wait, no, we want to search YouTube. 837. So here we got, these are what we call push pulls. They have 2 engines. These are actually 57s, which is a 40-yard scraper. So basically it's a scraper. They scrape the ground. This is a push-pull configuration with the ability to tandem push and pull with 2 machines. That gives you 2 engines per machine. You start in a push-pull configuration. It is now 4 engines pushing and pulling. So if you look here, we'll replace the engine in the front of the machine. There's an engine in the back of the machine. And I'm going to pause it right here. And right in the middle here, you can see a push block that's pushing on the forward machine. And there's a hook, what we call a bale. There's a hydraulic ram that lowers and raises this little hook. It's just a big hoop that's shaped like this, and it'll just fall on top of the hook that's at the top of the back here. So when the front machine is done loading, he will pick his can up and he will start forward, which will grab the bale on the back machine, and then the back machine will drop his can and pick up the cut right where the front machine left off. So that way you continue a flat cut all the way through the cut area. So we'll finish that off. So you can see now the back guy sees, you see the back engine. But that's how that is. So we're going to talk. So, okay, so I ran scrapers. What else did I do? Grade setters, scrapers, compactors. We've got a bunch of different compactors. We have a Terex, some old Terex, which is the 3-wheeled things. I actually have video of that on my channel using the compactor. Caterpillar has to be one of the most durable and most reliable vehicles ever. It's a machine like any other. The big thing, I guess, about them is that they're in America, the major company. They're not produced, I guess they're assembled in America. A lot of their parts, just like all other companies, have gone overseas, so a lot of parts are being produced in other countries. The parts are then shipped to the United States, where they are assembled into a machine. Not all the parts are made out of country, but some of the parts are made out of country. Everything's getting computerized, so you have all those computer parts that are not made in America. It becomes kind of an ordeal with getting parts these days for machines. So if it's a Cat machine, everything's pretty standard. You know what you're getting into. The Cat being that is a American-made machine for the most part, it's very expensive versus like the equipment I run. I run Kobelco's, and they are here. I forgot to blur out my logo, but oh well. So Kobelco excavator. This is a 350. It's a 35 ton machine. It is not a 50-ton machine. Well, so the way the numbering works on excavators is the number that you have here. This will typically tell you what size machine we have. So this is a 35-ton machine. On the Caterpillar or Cat machines, it's the second two numbers that dictate the size of the machine. So if it's a 345, that's a 45-ton. It's a 390, it's a 90-ton machine. 395, 95-ton machine. And that's how you can tell how big a machine is. John Deere's, we had 350s, which are 35 tons. And then you have the 450, which is a 45 ton, and then there's an 870, that's an 87 ton machine. So you can see how the numbers work with those type of deals. So let me see, what do we got? Do you recommend doing a union for apprenticeship, or okay, so you're 35, trying to switch from being a diesel mechanic to an operator. So, being a mechanic in the first place, you can join the operators and as a mechanic and just tell you can probably join as a mechanic and get in. I don't know if you can get straight in as what's called a C-class operating license, which is not the preferable way. If you're willing to go through the apprenticeship program, you just have to go to the union hall. You'll take a ASVAB's test for your background education, common sense, and your aptitude for construction. Is basically it's just a common knowledge test. Being that you've already a diesel mechanic, that'll help you along the way and get you ahead of the game. It'll put you higher on the intake list. I've seen guys that have been 55 years old in the apprenticeship program, so age is not really a factor. It's just a matter of your scores that you get to get into the union. So it's completely doable to do. I don't know, I mean, I don't know where do you live? What state are you in? Because that'll help me figure out where you are, and because every union is a little bit different. If it's an IUEO, or I don't know. It's an International Union of Operating Engineers. They have a standard way of getting into the unions. Local 3 operators, which is what I am, is a little bit different. Not much different, but a little bit different on how they get in. Because we're in California, they have a different set of rules of, like right now, in the apprenticeship program, they're finally allowing males to apply again. So the last couple of years, they've only taken females. And it has, out in the field, it has created a bit of a problem. All right, so finally caught up with stream. You're in Central PA, Pennsylvania. I don't know much about the East Coast unions, but if you do a quick Google search, you'll find your union. Just go to Union Hall, fill out an application, and talk to the people behind the counter. They will instruct you. Most of the people that work in the office were once a field worker, or it's just because we usually hire within our own ranks to keep everything running. If somebody's intelligent enough to be able to do office work, then they'll be put in the office and be paid through the union to work in the office. So you're not in the field any longer. Some people actually join the union specifically to do that, to help run things. But that's the way to do. You go to the union hall, sign up, you'll take a test, and you'll be put on a list, a waiting list to join the union, depending on the area you live in, how popular it is, or how hard it is to get in the union. That will dictate how long it takes. I've seen people that I've talked to that have said they've been on the entry list for 5 years. They didn't score very well. I scored a 89 on my test, and that was in high school, which was pretty good. I didn't get accepted my first year right out of high school. I went to another program since I wasn't in school anymore. My parents were making me pay rent, and moved me out of the house into a external structure, which was called the barn. And that's where I lived for a few years, paying rent. So I was able to go to Job Corps based on that information, because I really didn't have a job. I wasn't making enough money I barely made enough money to pay rent for a month. So I got into Job Corps. They gave me a stipend. They gave me training. So I was there for 6 months. And then I graduated in 93. So in 94, in June of 94, I joined the union. That was the nice thing about Job Corps, is Job Corps was a pipeline into the union. So the union really didn't have a choice of letting me into the apprenticeship program, because it was a program designed to put people into the apprenticeship program. That's how I got in, because I was on a waiting list, and I found a way to get into the union as fast as possible. So, and that's one of the issues, is people that sign up and get on the waiting list. I've actually met a few guys in the field that watch my show or watch my channel and have said they joined the union because of my videos. And one guy that I talked to, young guy, had joined and became a surveyor. So he's working as a rod man for a surveyor, just pounding stakes in, writing the stuff down, and he's learning. That was a couple of years ago, so hopefully he's moved his way up and found a new niche that he's enjoying and moving forward with. So outside of that, what else we got? Dozers. Dozers are another thing I ran. Let's check it out a D9. Not K9. Oh my god. There we go. So, the equipment I worked on, there's a D9 bulldozer building. So this is that's a military one. So it's bulletproof and whatnot. Here we go. Oh, we're running over a bus. D10, brand new machine getting unloaded, going to a company. There you go. You can join the military and learn how to run heavy equipment and knock buildings over. But you also might be getting shot at. So I learned to run old dozers, the flat track ones, like this one here. So I got to run a D6 and D7 that looked a lot like this, that had a cab on it. And I actually ran one that's probably older than that actually had a pony motor on the side of it and did not have hydraulics. It was cable. So the blade on it went up and down on a cable system run off a clutch. That thing was a pain in the butt to run. But once you learned how to run it, it was pretty easy. You got there. Guys, got any more questions? If you got questions, put them in there. I'll get to them. Or even if you got comments. So you can see the guys running these controls in here. Completely different. So you had a clutch lever on the console in front of you. It was two levers that you pulled, one this way, one that way, and it was for the left and right clutch. And then you had a brake for the left and right track, and a center brake that broke for both of them. So you'd have a big bar on the floorboard. You disengage the track clutch. It was a workout to run those old machines. But these new machines, they're commercial. In terms of the machine-wise, which one do you think is bigger, the John Deere 870G or a Cat 349? Well, that's easy. Because of the numbering system on them, the 870 is an 87-ton machine. The 349 is a 49-ton machine. There's a huge difference between those two machines. The 870 will have way more power and way more digging capability versus the Cat, just because of the size and hydraulic pressures and whatnot being used. The larger the rams get in diameter, the more flow it takes to fill the cylinder and push the rams apart. So the larger the diameter of the cylinder, the more pressure you're building and create a better more torque on the bucket to be able to dig with. So you'll see the small machines got these little tiny rams. The small machines move really fast because you got a small diameter ram and it fills the ram faster. So that way it moves quicker. So when you go to a larger diameter, you have a larger capacity that you have to fill. So machine will be slower, but it's going to have a way more power than the smaller machines. I wish I could get back on a Cat, but the company that I work for, not going to happen. So do this one last little video here, then I'm going to run through some pictures of my excavator. So here's some old machines. This is a lot like what we used to run, the old Cat and Can. Now these are some real old school stuff. Oh, we'll go back. So here you can see the 3 levers that are off to the right side and the clutch and shifter level on the bottom. So the lever that is right here on the side of the front dash, that is your throttle. It's basically you can set it and forget it. You can leave it at idle, or if you're doing like long pushes making grade, you just pull that. It's like cruise control. You leave it at full throttle, and then your foot is free to use the brakes instead of stepping on the decelerator. And that's another thing is the Dozers have a reverse gas pedal. It is a decelerator, not an accelerator. So basically when you step on the throttle pedal, it slows the engine down. And so with that lever I'm talking about, you pull it to full throttle, and then you use the pedal to decelerate the engine. And that way when you're off the pedal, you can manage the braking for left and right to control steering. And then the lever the guy's got his hand on, that is a clutch lever. There's 2 of them, one for the left track, one for the right track. And then your levers here, so you've got your bucket or your blade control. This is more than likely for the rear of the rig, on a cable system on the back of it, if it doesn't have rippers, which those old machines usually did not have rippers. Modern machine, much different in the cab. So everything's hydraulic. You've got a high track system, big old rippers. They got rid of the cable system because they don't need cables anymore to use the old Cat and Can style digging. So the old Dozers used to have a can, like a scraper can on them, and they ran off a cable system to raise and lower them. Let's see, what do we got? Wish we had a picture inside the cab. All right. Well, anyways, so I'm going to go over some pictures here of one of the excavators, the 350 that I've got sitting on the job site that I was on a little bit ago. And why is it over here? Okay, pop it over here. So this is a clean machine. We've cleaned the tracks off, or it just got delivered. So we're a 35-ton machine. This is your standard weight for most jobs. This is usually a large machine for a project. And what we've got here is we've got several different parts. These are the tracks. You have the turret on top, which is where the boom, the cab, and all the hydraulics, engine, and motor sit. All the stuff on the bottom. Got some closer pictures. So this is a carrier idler. This carries the track. They're basically just rollers that carry the track, keep it from slapping around. You have the main frame here that's connected to the turret. You can see the turret right here. It's the base of it. So you have this part's on the frame. The outside piece right here is sitting on top of this inner piece. Now there's a gear system inside. So you have an outer ring that's connected to the base of the machine, and then you have a hydraulic motor that's facing downward with a gear on it that will spin left and right, and it follows that ring gear, and that's how it makes the machine spin around in circles. Let's see what else we got. All right, so these are the track rollers, these on the bottom, and we have this other big piece of metal here is a track guide. This keeps the track because when you're on the ground, you'll see guys pick up the machine, pivot, and then set the machine back down. What'll happen is if your tracks are loose, the track will unalign from these track rollers, and you'll get on top of the track rollers, and they'll slip and slam down, and they cause damage to your rollers. But these track rollers here, same thing. They're enclosed. They don't get greased. They're just an internal thing. Once the bearings wear out on them, you just take them apart and replace them. Another picture there. We have the drive sprocket on the rear. This has a planetary gear system, so there's a gear in the center with 3 or 4 gears around the outside of it. As a planetary, what it does is it's a reduction. It's a gear reducer that allows more torque. A lot of machines have them, especially all the heavy equipment, loaders, scrapers. They all have this planetary gear in here that creates a higher torque. It slows the machine down, but you have more torque available. So these ring gears here are actually bolted on and can be removed. Usually they're in sections. I don't see this one has sections. Maybe this is a solid ring. Oh no, bolts are right here. You can kind of hidden away there. And then you have this is your oil fill or dump, whatever you want to call it, and then your parts that'll hold everything, all the internal parts. So hydraulics come down through the center ring into the frame and run to a hydraulic motor that spins the gear back here, which propels the machine forwards and backwards. The chain. So tracks are in 2 parts. You have the chain, which is what the sprocket and idlers all run on, and then you have a track pad. The trackpad is what is basically what the machine sits on. It distributes the weight, it determines traction, and what you're going to be using the machine for. This one has a 3 grouser pad on it. The grouser being the shape of the traction on top of it. Some of them have rubber pads. Very rare for this size machine to have rubber pads on it, but they do make the pads to put on them for going on streets. But typically we use these even on the street. On a hot day, these will dig into asphalt on hot days, like over 95 degrees. Below 95, When you get down to about 85 degrees, you're fine. The asphalt doesn't peel up. But once you get over 85 to 90, it starts getting soft, and you got to be careful. Once you're over 95, this machine should not be on asphalt. It will tear up at the asphalt. Unless it's like 100-year-old asphalt, then there's no oil left in it. Doesn't really matter. But there's a lot of different track pads that you can put on these. And they come in different widths. So if you're in muddy conditions, you want a wide track pad. So they have, I think, 900 millimeter wide, 800, 700, and 600. I ran a old Cat 350, which was a 50 ton. So this is different numbering. It wasn't 35 ton, it was a 50 ton machine, pretty big, and had a short stick and boom on it for designed for digging in rock, and it had 600 millimeter pads on it, and had a 2 grouser. So it had a back grouser and a front grouser, nothing in the middle, which gave it a lot more traction in rock and on slopes. Oh, Windsor. Been a while since I've ran a dozer with hand clutches. Yeah, you pretty much don't see those anymore. You only find those on old companies that don't have the money to buy new machines, or farms and things like that. So continuing on with this, let's see what else. So this is the front idler. This one in the front, it's just what it says. It's an idler. There's no power to it. It just freewheel spins. But what it does have back here is there is a hydraulic, well, I guess you can call it a hydraulic ram, but there's a ram in here, what's known as the tensioner, and you basically fill it with grease. The grease pushes the ram out, which tightens the tracks, and that's how you can adjust the tightness on these tracks. So here you can see the trackpad, the grousers, and how it's 3 and they're kind of flat and a little rounded on the edges, so they're not very sharp. These are kind of wore out. This is a newer machine. I think it's just got 2,000 hours on it, so it's not too bad. But your subframe here and the other frame, so there are hydraulics. There's an open area underneath that you can get underneath and go up and get to the hydraulic lines that come through the house, through the frame to go out to your tracks. Another shot. We got our cab, hydraulic lines running to the boom, and all the hydraulics going to the stick are on the top side, or the back side of the boom. So you got your boom here. Let's see, continuing around. So you can see up here on the back of the boom, that's the those are all the hydraulics to run the bucket and the stick. That's the last picture I have there. Mirrors. You always want to have your mirrors adjusted. You always want to keep your footsteps right here. You always want to keep your footsteps clean and clear for getting on and off the machine, even during muddy conditions. You want to keep these clean because you don't want to slip and fall, because I guarantee you, if you slip off this, you're going to bash a shin on your track, and you are going to hate your life for a while. Oh, let's get into some other things that we do as pipe layers. So as pipe layers, I dig the hole. I hand the parts into the hole. They sometimes assemble these parts above ground, and then as an excavator operator, to assist your laborers, ground guys, you will hook onto them straps, chains, or whatever you're using, pick it up, set it into place, then they will bolt it up in the ground. And what we have here is a meter section. This is brand new, just installed. This is a temporary piece that you see down here in the middle. So this plastic piece will get removed, and a meter, a water meter, will be installed. This is a brand new building project, so that's why it's such a large unit. It's an 8-inch line. And we have a valve here, and when you maintain this, you will open this bypass that will bypass the meter. So that way, if any maintenance needs to be done to the meter, you can shut that section down and continue work and still supply water to the building. Next one, oh, here we are. I'm running a grinder on a Bobcat. Well, it's not a Bobcat, we just call them skid steers. You see my lunch pail between my legs. I always like to keep my lunch pail with me. So this is just one of the many things we do. Working in the street, you grind out your asphalt and then you trench through it. Or you can do what they call a saw cut, where you cut lines in the asphalt all the way through the asphalt, and then you just pull the sections of asphalt out and throw them into the truck. The nice thing about grindings can be picked up, swept up, and used for other things on the job, like road entrances and things like that, so you're not buying material. Now, here's our 870. 870G. This is a big mamma jamma. You can see we have our GPS posts on here, and mounted up here in the front, there's a mount for the GPS. It's, I guess, an iPad. And then, let me see, we have, you can see these cables running around. These are the sensors for the GPS. There's a sensor right here on the linkage for the bucket. And what this does is it tells the GPS what the position is of all the parts on the excavator, and then the two masts in the back will give rotational direction to the GPS. So it has 2 points that will rotate around and tell the GPS which way the machine is facing, which allows you to dig beautiful holes that are precisely to the engineering specification. Now, this pipe that is in the ground is a 84-inch pipe. You can see here, this is while I was installing it. So you can see it's fairly large, and they have to put a rubber gasket on these pipes. So you use a pipe lube it up, and then you'll slip the these rubber gaskets on top of it. I'm giggling because while you're doing this, what'll happen is as you're putting these on, sometimes it will slip off and it'll slap you, and it's covered in this pipe soap that's very sticky and thick, and you will spend the rest of the day with pipe soap in your hair, on the back of your neck, in your ear, all over your body, and it sucks. And another shot, there's an end cap that's been installed on it, and all this is just a capacity reservoir for high flow days, and then it goes into another box that gets reduced down to a 24-inch exit line that ties into a 24-inch line that's off-site. So the reason for the capacity is for a high flow event that overwhelms the 24-inch pipe, so now there's a reservoir that you can fill up while the 24-inch is trying to dump out all this water. It prevents it from backing up into parking lots and things like that. That's why we have reservoirs. So, this is an interesting picture because I like photography. Obviously, I do videos, stuff like that, as an extension of this. This was someone's front yard we dug through. I managed to capture this picture on my lunch break while I was sitting in the bucket of my machine using it as a mount. I rested my camera on the edge and managed to get a bunch of photos like this of this woman's front yard. She had a bunch of bird feeders and stuff like that. So when I talk about you get to go do things and be in cool places, this is one of those things that I love, is nature. Being able to take photography and pictures that are really cool like this, that's just another part of the world that we get to live in. Okay, let's get back to questions. Let's say, for example, it's snowing. The roads are icy. right can those treads on the excavator track break up the ice on the road? No, the tracks will not break up the ice. They depending on the ice, basically the machine's going to slide across ice. It's not gonna. They're not gonna do very well. So typically, what you'll see is an excavator operator use the bucket and break up the ice and kind of smear it around and track over it. But most of the time in the winter, if there's ice, you're probably not gonna be working. And now there are job sites, especially in the road. You're not gonna be working on ice in the roads. Let's see. Let's do a search for that. God, I hate all the AI stuff that's out here now. It makes actually looking for real video. Why? Ice cream? No. Autofill. Stupid, stupid thing. Why? No. I don't want ice cream. There we go. Okay. There you go. There's an excavator on ice. This is what to expect if you have an excavator on ice. Yeah. So you can see he's spinning the tracks around and stuff, and somewhat under control. They did this as an example, more than likely, just to demonstrate on what happens if your excavator loses traction on ice. Just like a wheeled vehicle, it's going to take off. Now, do they make specialized tracks for ice? I bet they do. And now, like we were talking about the track pads, I'm sure you can get track pads that are designed a little more spiky that will gouge into the ice and prevent something like this happening. But most likely, you're never going to be out on a job with that. So here's a mini. This is a commercial. These things are a pain in my butt. I wanted to have a bunch of videos that were pre-done. Okay, don't care about that. So you got a mini. They're going out doing snow removal for their. Now, he's got metal tracks on this mini instead of rubber tracks. For most of the ones we do, we have had, for the most part, rubber tracks on all of our mini equipment. Now, this is the size of machine that we do a lot of work with. The company I work for, actually, we are the largest consumer of the Takeuchi mini excavator. Our company owns like 50 or 60 of these things. So this is basically driveway clearing. This can be done with skid steers and whatnot. I find that this would be a slower process, although a warmer process, being that you have a cab with heat. Whereas the skid steers are pretty miserable to run, no matter what the deal. No idea what he's getting into. That is the belly pan on the machine that has frozen over. Maybe he's trying to change the oil on the machine or something. I don't know. Oh, hydraulic lines and whatnot are getting frozen. So that's interesting stuff. So this guy, whatever this guy's name is here, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. If you're in a cold climate, I'm guessing you might want to check out his channel. If you go over to his channel and watch any of his videos, do me a favor, just throw me a shout out on the video you watch. Just do an @TheLeverMonkey in the comment section, and that will give me notice that you've been there and watched his videos. Let me see. I've got an audio echo. Okay, went away. It's probably the audio echo is from me playing the video. It's because I'm not wearing my headset. I'll make sure I mute the videos from now on. That's where that echo is coming from, is the videos. Yeah, they can weld chunks of steel on each grouser for ice. It's called Corking Tracks. Is that what it says? Corking Tracks. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I see it, and I don't live in that climate. I don't work in that climate, so I really don't know much about working in that kind of environment. For me, it's mostly either mud or extreme heat. Like today, I think it's supposed to get up to like 100 and something degrees here today, which sucks. Let me see what else we got. Oh, I've got some pictures here of pipes that have been hit, pipe hits. And again, oh, here's an image of a cat that hit a gas line. So for whatever reason, a spark was generated and it ignited the gas, and hopefully the operator got out safe. But things like this happen. They're not good events. They're bad events for everyone involved. So here what we have are old steel lines. This more than likely was a water line, not a gas line. We have blue marking paint here, which would be for water. So that would indicate that this is a water line. And if you look down here, you can see a little white mark here. That indicates a USA marking requirement. Basically, you call 811, call before you dig, and you put these paint marks down and with the USA tag number, and it tells everyone that they need to mark their line between this point and that point. So wherever the beginning of the job is to the end of the job, we'll have these white markings put down indicating that everything in this zone needs to be marked out for us prior to us digging. And usually we give, I think the rule is 8 days prior to the job beginning. USA is required to be put out and marked everything. If you start the project at 8 days and something hasn't been marked, you can make a emergency call and hopefully get the people out that day to mark out their pipes. But when you don't have pipes marked, you wind up pulling stuff out. It's possible that these pipes that have been pulled out of the ground are being replaced. More than likely, this is a water service going to a house or a property or something. It looks like apartments. Here we have another gas line strike. Fire has been called. Excavator has been shut down and parked. And I don't see any markings. Possible marking right there. You can see a little bit of color. Maybe that's a reflection in the water or something, but you can see the gas. There's a little yellow tape here. That's an indication tape, probably the caution tape, which got torn and dropped. But several lines or roots being pulled out of the ground. This was careless work. That's what this is. This is just, they didn't come in, they didn't use a hydrovac, which is a gigantic truck vacuum cleaner with a pressure washer wand that melts the mud, dirt, and everything and gets vacuumed up out of the hole to locate lines in the ground. That is the proper way to locate lines. You don't want to find lines like this. So here is a illustration of what is under your roads that you drive on. We have our main and deepest line in green here will be your septic sewer, all the poo, shower water, everything that goes down the drain in your house, apartment, or buildings all go down to the deepest one and run out to go to a treatment facility. The second green one is your stormwater, which is anything that runs off the street, will run off into this system and just be pushed out into a creek or whatnot. Sometimes some of them will actually run into the sewer system on much older systems. Like in Sacramento, any city that's over 100 years old is possibly going to have a combined system. Yellow is gas. Red is your electric, which will run sometimes on both sides of the street. You have a little power transformer here, side of the road, that's electric. Orange is your communication. Over here on the side of the sidewalk, you can see there's a double panel right here. This would be a underground substation box for whatever. For either a transformer or just electrical connections or even communications. And that's what the orange is. The orange pipes will have communications, your cable TV, telephone, fiber optics, things like that. And then blue is water. And so you'll have a main line that runs up and down the street. There'll be valves in the street. And these are little services that run off to different directions to service your house and whatnot. So that's basically what is in the roads. Pretty much every road that you drive on, something like this will be under it. Especially in the cities, this is what it's going to look like. In housing tracks, very similar to this. You'll only have power on one side of the street. You may or may not have gas. New housing tracks are in California because of new laws. Do not have gas. They've banned gas to homes, which I think is a bad idea, but whatever. I didn't vote for them. Where else can we go? We got another picture? Yes, we got another picture. So here's another pipe that's been struck, and the fire department or a water truck is trying to save the machine by spraying the machine with water to keep it cool, keep it from catching fire. You can see everyone in the background has been evacuated from the job site, and they're in their staging area. I'm guessing hopefully that was pre-rehearsed on where if there was an accident. You can see a shield that's in here. These are steel plates that are pushed down, and there's more than likely a hydraulic jack holding these two plates apart. Now, being that the flames are coming from back here, not up by the machine, I don't know how this got struck. Whether it was this machine or maybe there's a digging machine off camera that we can't see. Because this looks like a pipe setting machine. Usually a bigger machine would be digging, smaller machine is setting pipe and backfilling. What else do I got? Oh, another pipe strike with an alien. This is housing track area. You can see they're putting in new water system. This is a steel line. You've got this is a valve. This is a T, a bolt-up T. This would be a mega lug style, not a flange style. So the pipe actually inserts, and there's a ring that slides up and over that holds this all together. Another pipe hit. You can see a lot going on in this photo. So obviously the backhoe is toast. We have a little bit of shoring here. And where is this? Woodland Hills. I'm guessing this might be California. Wouldn't surprise me, but looks like we have a junction here. We have two backflows. Above ground backflows are most of the time above ground. Every once in a while you'll see them below ground, but very rarely, because the fire department wants to be able to turn them on and off, and they're easier to service. Basically all this does is the water coming from the main line in the street will be running off onto your job site, and what this does is it prevents any contaminated water running from the site into the main line and contaminating the main line, which would cause a ton of problems. So This is the main water feed. We'll have a 6-inch fire line and a 4-inch domestic water. Not sure what the big one is. Usually you only have 2 of them, not 3. So this might be going to some sort of facility. So here's a good description of post-hit markers. So we have, you can see USAA has been out and they have marked out all the different lines. We have gas line marked. You can see the yellow paint as well with an indicator mark that shows where the mark is and where the damaged line is. So we can see there is a gas line that's been hit here. So what I'm guessing is we used a mechanical method of digging instead of using a hydrovac to locate these lines. What we do, our company policy is when we get markings down on the ground, we will come in, hydrovac, and guarantee we know exactly where the lines are. A GPS guy will come out, hit them with GPS so we know exactly where they are. So when we bury them and when we come back to them later, the GPS can come out and tell us exactly where the line is and how deep the line is so we can hand dig around them instead of bringing hydrovac back in. Because once they're hydrovac'd, we shoot them and then we cover them with sand so they're easy to hand shovel around. So typically the machine is not allowed within 2 feet of a line. Anything inside of that, once you know the line, where the line is, then the machine can come in and assist in digging around it. And then we've got communication lines over here, possibly electrical. Not sure what the red and black stripe is. Or the white. The white is something else. But anyways, that's what I got there. No, we're not doing that. Water line strike. This is a water service that's been hit. You can see the water just spraying out. Guys down there. Now this is something you can fix, shut off. It's a non-potable line. It's purple. So you can see the purple line here. So this is an irrigation line that's servicing planters, sprinkler system, whatever, on the center of the road, side of the road, or something like that. Most of the time, these sprinkler systems will not get marked, and you're just going to hit them every once in a while. So this is not a rare. Unfortunately, it's not rare to hit a purple line like this unless it's a major transmission line that gets marked out. And that's the last one of those I got. So where are we at? We got more questions. The cat machine is possibly fired to a crisp. Yeah. It's been a hoe burnt so bad from a pipeline strike that the boom got so hot it drowned down in the middle. Like, yeah. Largest gas main I've ever seen ripped out in person was a 3-inch. Lucky it never ignited. It was marked, but the paint marks got covered by leaves and was forgotten about by the time they got to it. That happens. Unfortunately, that happens. And now that this comes down to the foreman and the operator. Prior to digging, you're supposed to do a walkthrough on the section that you will be working that day. So if you don't do your walkthrough every day, it's because nothing's there, or you do a walkthrough for the whole week, and then it's up to you and your foreman to remember that when you get to this point, there's probably going to be lines. That is a major thing that is on the operator and the foreman. They're the ones liable, and at the end, it's on the foreman to remember to do this stuff. It doesn't matter if the marks get covered up. If they get covered up by leaves or dirt or anything, it's on you. You can always call 811 and have them come out and do a remark, but you might have to wait a day or two for the remarks. So you have to stay on top and remember where everything in the ground was. Take mental notes. Um, if you have to, you can actually take paint and your marking paint. We use pink. That's the only color we're allowed to use because it's a non-standard color that other companies use to mark out lines. So that way we know it was our line that we put on the ground, or it's our marking, our information. So what you do is you take the marking that's existing, you pull off, you do an offset, you put a mark or a stake or something off-site that's outside of what's going to get messed up, and put your information on the stake or paint it on the ground with an arrow pointing to where the existing marker is. And you can put a circle around the existing marker to indicate that there was a mark here. And sometimes just water will wash them away, and your pink paint or whatever paint you're using will help you indicate that there was a mark here and that you need to pay attention to what's in this area. How much is a? Well, I mean that we can Google that. I know on a typical day, an 8-hour shift, I'm probably burning around 100 gallons a day in an 8-hour shift. They probably hold around 140. Most machines are designed to run a 10 to 12 hour shift before needing fuel. And that's just a design that's been in common practice for most machine companies, is because most shifts in like mines and stuff are 12-hour shifts. You run for 12 hours, you then take your machine back to the shop. The next shift comes in. While the shift change is happening, a fuel rig will come in and fuel all the machines, and then the next shift goes out to work 12 hours. And I think the longest I've ever had a machine run, I think was the Cat 350 I ran, was actually incredibly efficient. I could actually get, I think it was 16 hours out of a tank of fuel, and that one held about 150 gallons. I think it was around 150 gallons is what that machine held. But it was really efficient on fuel. I could go almost 2 days on a tank of fuel. So for me, I've never broken a gas line. I've touched a couple and come close to breaking them. One of which needed to be replaced. They actually came out, a PG&E came out, and they had to replace a section of the line because it was gouged that much. It was really bad. Considered a hit. We thought we had found the line. It was in an area of Sacramento where there were multiple lines in the ground. They had put new lines in next to old lines. So we had found 3 gas lines, steel gas lines. We were unaware that they had run a new 4-inch low pressure gas main that was plastic, and we did not find that. We dug through the sand, and it was directly underneath a 4-inch steel line. So we thought the steel line was the one we were looking for. We continued to dig underneath it, and lo and behold, there's the plastic line underneath it. I had just caught a tooth and just scraped the outside of the plastic pipe and took about a 1/2 inch gouge into the pipe. The pipe's a 4-inch low pressure line, I think, is like 3/4 of an inch thick, so we were really close to breaking it. So bad stuff. To be honest, I don't know a whole lot about how much fuel. Well, okay, Finates, piles, holds. Okay, so you're saying an 870 holds 293 gallons? Wow, that's a lot. So that's more than I thought it would hold. Yeah, I guess if I'm burning 100 and something gallons a day in at full tilt, yeah, it makes sense that it, 16-hour shift, 290 something gallons, yeah. Windsor, I've only hit one gas line, and I was pulling a new water line with a stainless cable, and the cable rubbed the hole in the plastic gas line. Dumb mistake on my end. Yeah, so again, 2 foot is, if you get anything within 2 feet of a line, it's supposed to be a no-go. I'm guessing you were, from your description here, you were using some kind of an attachment to strap around a water line that you were pulling. I'm guessing it was fused pipe. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that's what I'm thinking. That it was fused pipe or mechanical jointed together to pull it underneath the gas line and anything else that was in the way. That's what I'm assuming you're talking about. Oh God, we've been at this for a while. An hour and 17 minutes. I'll give you guys a little bit more. We'll go to 8:30. Let's see. I had another. Oh yeah, job that I've been working on. So I've got pictures for 5 days on a job that we've been working on. We were demolishing and backfilling a swimming pool. So this is where we started the project. You can see that there's a pool inside a building, so you can't get big machines in there, so it's all jackhammers and everything. So what we were doing is we were jackhammering off the rim and going down about I think it was 14 or 16 inches down and pulling the plastic trim. This is a liner. You see the pool down here is already cracked, and we punched some holes in the bottom of it so it'll drain if it ever gets water in it. Here's a large view of the building structure. There's the entrance into the pool. Now this house and everything was built in 1949, just to give you an idea of how old this place is. And the pool had been redone, so this was a second version of this swimming pool. The swimming pool was originally designed for a handicapped person. So you can see here on both sides, there's a slow ramp that went down into the pool, so the man that lived here in the wheelchair could actually wheel himself down into the swimming pool and go swimming, and then swim back to his wheelchair, get back into his chair, and then wheel himself out. This was the machine that I was using to bring material into the building. That was my ride for a little bit. This is what we call a powered wheelbarrow. It held about a 3 foot, I don't know, I say a quarter yard of material. So that was taking forever. Let's continue jackhammering. We got fans here exhausting dust. Everyone's got their PPE on, dust masks, hard hats, gloves, everything required to do the job. This is my little spoon, I call him. And he's running a rivet buster, or what we call just a chipping gun, chipping from the bottom. It's lighter weight. The guy that was on top was running an 80-pound hammer, breaking up the big stuff. We've got rebar that is in here. That's why the cut-off saw to cut through the steel, and we can pull all the steel out. And we were using all the concrete and stuff we were throwing down to the pool. We threw some dirt into the pool, and we're using it kind of to make it easier to walk on. Day 3, we start throwing some dirt in the hole. We've completed the demolition of the rim down to the 16 inches, threw everything into the bottom of the pool. Owner of the property was like, cool, just throw it in the hole, I don't want to deal with it. There's one of the guys. This is a guy that didn't want his face on camera, so there we go. Gave him a little winky face. And here we are. So at this point, we've got a ramp in. I've got video of this, which I'm not allowed to show you guys. but I have a time lapse of this entire thing. I set up a camera with a battery. I time lapsed for 5 days, which I'm going to give to the owner of the property, a little video of the pool getting completely backfilled. So I was using a small skid steer. We built a ramp. I was using this. We got rid of the skid steer, or we got rid of the the powered wheelbarrow because it was just taking too long. And from day one, I told them, get one of the small skid steers. It'll save us a ton of time, and it did. It probably saved us a couple days of work. Have I ever used a excavator with a jackhammer on it? Yes, I have. The hydro hammer. I ran for Peter Kiewit, on a job in a national park. They were breaking off huge chunks of granite off the side of Highway 120 on the inside and outside, and they were shipping the rock up to be crushed in a crush plant on site. And it was my job to sit on this machine and break these rocks into 18 to 24 inch rock that could go through a crush plant, turn into AB, which we used later on the job. And that hammer was that's probably the biggest hammer. It was a 10-ton hammer. It was huge. What I called the old school name on it, the bull prick on it, the hammer bit was about that big around, and they were sending me. So if you've ever seen I have got to show you what this looks like. It is one of these. Just give me a picture that I can click on. So one of these things, all right, it's gonna be stupid. But one of these things here, these Volvo dump trucks, they were putting one rock into the back of the bed of this thing, and they were using a 380, 375 with a thumb, picking up huge rocks and putting them in the back of these dump trucks and bringing them to me. And I would take this gigantic rock that was the size of a semi truck, and I would break it up into 18 to 24 inch rock. That's what I did. I think it was like 8 or 9 hours a day. I broke rocks into little rocks so that we could crush them up. And that was my job. I did that for 3 months. Come back to the picture. Do I have anything else? Nope. Okay. We got day 4. Day 4, we've got the dirt all the way to the top to the elevation where we're going to put rock in. So you see doing the final lift in here, getting everything on grade. We've got a laser set up all the way in the back to make sure it's flat all the way across. Here's Mr. No Name with the smiley face again. Just chopped off the handrail here. And here's what it looks like, pretty much done. A little winky eye. And the last day, finished product. We're finished grading it, and then they're just going to compact the whole thing all the way around. That's the drain inlet, which gets filled in as well. Probably just going to pour some concrete in there to seal it. And you can see here, we got the skid steer sitting right here. It's a rental. We put down some 3/4 inch plywood on either side of the doorway. There's a little slider. We didn't want to destroy the slider. Plus, it allowed us to run an electrical cable for the fans through there. No face. Didn't get a face this time. But, oh, there's my backpack on the side with my waters and anything else. Mostly that's, for me, mostly it's my camera equipment. I got my camera was set up in this window and it captured the entire room. Oh, what do we got? So yeah, the hydro hammers, we use them on a regular basis when we get up into the mountains. We have rocks, sometimes trying to just dig through rock. I do believe I have some videos. I should have some videos on my channel with me using a hammer. Just go to my channel. I'd have to do a search for it. But I know I have a video of me using a hammer somewhere. But I think one of the videos that I really think are real important are any of the videos that I have with shoring involved. So, like, I've got slide rail shoring videos. These are pretty important on knowing how to set up slide rails. Those things are crazy if you get them wrong, they are a pain in the butt. Alright, so what else we got? You got more questions? I feel like the excavator that does have a thumb on it have way more than just like they can just pick up like a chunk of concrete with no problem, or on the other hand, the excavator with no thumb. Well, yeah, I mean, so none of the machines I run at our company have thumbs on them, not even our minis. I think maybe we might have one that has a thumb on it, but we don't do demolition work for the most part. It's thumbs are nice when you need them, but most of the time they are just in the way. Correct. And that's why, because we do production pipe laying, we don't have to worry about using thumbs, even though thumbs on occasions, there have been several times I wish I had a thumb. But for the most part, yeah, they get in the way a lot when you're doing production digging, especially if you have to dig around something in the city and you've got that big thumb that's hanging out there just getting in the way, preventing you from reaching into tight places. One of the things, Antran, that you had asked yesterday was my feelings on construction. I told you I'm an outdoors guy. I like being outdoors. I do spend time in front of my computer because I like air conditioning as well on hot days. So if I'm not outside doing something, I'm in my garage working on my car or doing stuff with my guns. So I keep them maintained as well. And that's one of the things for getting into construction. You need to, especially for you young guys, some of you older guys, if you guys that have been doing this for a while or have just gotten into it, Windsor, do a little shout out of how you got started, how you feel about construction in general. Were you forced into kind of this line of work, or did you choose this type of work? For me, I chose it. I was born to do this. I'm actually a fourth generation construction worker. My dad was a carpenter, ran heavy equipment and other things. My grandfather was a operating engineer. He ran Dozers. On my dad's birth certificate, they had occupation. This is way back when they used to have the occupation of the father on birth certificates. And my grandfather put down that he was a cat skinner. Cat skinners were given, that name was given to operators that were so good on bulldozer they could skin a cat with a bulldozer. That's where they got that from. And then apparently my great-grandfather ran horse-drawn blades, cutting some of the first roads in America, making the first roads that we drove on or rode horses on and stuff like that. So I have a rich DNA history built into me to pull levers. And that's where a lot of people don't understand their history to understand where their abilities could possibly lie. This was something, so I had a stepfather growing up, great man, took care of me, adopted me, and raised me pretty good. We didn't always see eye to eye on a lot of things. He was white collar, whereas I have a blue collar mindset. And it took him a long time to get over me being blue collar, being a working man. But once he saw where I was going and where I was headed, and I had really good head on my shoulders, that I had good common sense and understood stuff. Now, when I first got started, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I knew a lot of basic information, what tools were used for, how machines worked, things like that are a major part of getting started. So for you new guys that are getting out of high school, my recommendation is learn mechanical items. Learn your vehicles, learn old vehicles, because that is going to teach you more than the new vehicles with all the computers and stuff. 3D animation. There are 3D programs out there that you can download for free and just build 3D objects. And the way I think of things is I've got ADHD and dyslexia. So reading and writing is a rough thing for me. But my common knowledge and my common sense and my general knowledge of mechanics is pretty high. So another part of ADHD is I can think in 3 dimensions. So using 3D programs allows you to rotate objects and be able to see things from all directions. When I walk onto a job site and all that's out there are just stakes in the ground and maybe a set of plans, which I actually have a set of plans behind me. So this right here, basically these are just plans off a site that has a storm drain running through it. This is all undeveloped area. There's some developed area up here, but it shows water line, storm drain, and stuff like that. So I'll wrap that up later. So when I look at a set of plans and I walk onto site and see where the lines are supposed to be via where the stakes are, I can visually see a trench with pipe laying in the bottom of it, and I know what I need to do and what it should look like. Do I always make it perfectly what is in my mind? No, I do not. I do whatever is pretty quick. So that's just one of the benefits I have as an operator, which helps me out a lot, is I've got really good feel in my hands. When you operate machines, you operate the machine with your fingers. There's a lot of sensations in the machines that if you pay attention, even in driving your car, a lot of the sensations come from your butt. So if you ever watch, there was a movie with Niki Lauda and Michael Hunt. It was a racing movie, and with a guy that got his face burned in a car fire. But during the movie, he talks about he's riding with a girlfriend, and he's telling her that her left tire's low and all this other stuff, and she's like, "How do you know this stuff?" And he says, "I have a great ass. I can tell you everything about your car through my butt." And that, in heavy equipment operations, that is so true. You can feel hydraulics through the controls that you're holding onto and through the vibration of the seat. If you listen, you can hear the hydraulics running through the valve system that's right behind you. So when you start cracking open a valve to move something, you hear shh. You can hear that oil start to run through the line. It takes time to go out to the bucket, and then it'll start moving. If you can put all these things together, the feel, the sight of what's happening, and predict what's going to happen with your motions and the sounds and everything that's going on, you can predict what the machine is going to do. Shut up. Turn that off. Silence. There we go. All right, no more being bugged by that. So, being able to put all that stuff together is a major part of being a top-notch or top-tier operator. When you can put all that stuff together and gain the experience of doing all these different things. And that when you're an apprentice, you want to start doing things. Don't turn the throttle down. Always run the rig at full throttle. I always run at full throttle. Learn to be sensitive with the controls at full throttle. If you can do that, because the guys that turn the throttles down and now you don't have full power of the machine, if something happens, you can't come back out and get out of the way fast enough. You need to have that full power at all times to get out of a situation just as well as it gets you into a situation. And if you have that feel to get that sensitivity and you practice, like as an apprentice, you get on the machine, all you're doing is backfill. You're just throwing dirt into a hole. Take some time, play around a little bit, learn to pull a flat grade even in a pile of dirt. When you throw the material down the ditch line to backfill it with a wheel or whatever, feel what that machine is doing while you're doing that. As an apprentice, when you're backfilling and you're not in that prime position, that's where you build your skills. You don't build your skills once you get into that digging position. At that point, it's already too late. You're going to start digging and you're not going to have any feel. You're going to break things. You're going to look like an idiot, like you don't know what you're doing. They're going to pull you off the machine, put you back on the backfill and say, hey, you're not ready. And that's exactly what you are. You're not ready for that. So anytime you pick something up, like you saw, I pick things up with a chain, help guys out, valves, fire hydrants, any pipes, whatever needs to be picked up, even vibratory whackers and stuff like that. When you pick those up and you swing the machine, a lot of guys will get in there and just turn the control to full tilt and come jerking off, and then the load, whatever you're carrying, starts swinging around. All that can be countered by learning the physics of how things work. And this is a video I want to make, is a physics video on why things do what they do. But the problem is finding time on a job site to be able to create that content. So a lot of the times what I'll tell people, and I've done this demonstration on jobs for young operators, is I'll have a length of chain about 3 feet long, and I'll take the hook and I'll put it on with a little bit of weight on the end. You know, doesn't have to be a lot, 50 pounds, and I can take the chain, get it spinning around in a circle, and I can make it do different things around, and then I can bring it back to a dead stop. And that took a lot of time to figure out how to do that. And the one thing that I can tell you to help you figure that out is you have to go from leading the chain to following the chain. If you can figure out what that means, you're gonna be able to do what I do. And little things like that are major. Some of the sayings that I say is don't worry about the center, take care of your edges, the center will take care of itself. And that's true for V-ditching. You start on the outside edges and it works to the center of the trench. If your machine is set in the right location and you're digging in a straight line and you're watching your mirror to make sure the house is lined up with the track in a straight line, you're going to be on center. You don't have to worry about digging down center first and then doing your slopes. You want to get your mass excavation out of the way first and then finish the bottom last. And that way you're faster. It's about minimal movements. The less you move and the more production you do in that minimal amount of movement, the faster you are. It's not, digging fast is not through actually moving fast. It's through efficiency. Efficiency is the name of the game. So with that, guys, we got any more comments? You guys just if you got any last questions, now the time's to throw them up. Get them out there. I'll wait. You got 5 minutes and then I'm going to log out here. Windsor, I'm a 3rd gen operator, 2nd gen union operator. I love it. Got lucky to work for a company that works year round. I've been with them 9 years now, but have been in a union 13 years and started as an apprentice. Yeah, and in a union now, one of the things here with the unions, if you go through the union apprenticeship program, once you become a journeyman, you're considered an A operator. The unions have lists. They have an A list, a B list, and a C list. C list are usually operators that transfer from out of state or out of the local into your local, and they throw them on a C list. They have to work their way up to an A list. What this is basically the way the union dispatches unemployed people. So what happens is if you sign up on the out of work list, you're considered an A class. You're on the A list. You get dispatched before the B and C list. Then, so if you're a C list operator, you've got to wait until all these people above you get dispatched before you do that. So jumping in and becoming a C list operator isn't always the best thing to do unless you have guaranteed work. So you do have dyslexia. I was wondering that. Yeah, I have dyslexia bad. So apparently there's like 6 versions of dyslexia. I actually have issues when I get at work and I get excited. And you can see I do get excited sometimes. I can get ramped up and I'll start slurring words, or I'll actually talk backwards. So sometimes I'll say things in reverse, or I'll say sentences, so my brain will be like 2 sentences ahead of my mouth, and then my mouth will just skip the sentence in the middle, or it'll skip a few words and start somewhere else, and people will be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I'll have to go back, restart, and say everything in a slower manner to slow myself down to get my point across. My foreman, Andy, that I've been working with for years, he understands me even when I spit my dyslexic garbage out of my mouth. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. He's gotten used to what he calls my Shanklish. So I speak English, I understand Spanish a little bit, and I speak Spanglish. So that's what it's been called, and my wife termed that for me because she says the same thing. Reading, I've pretty much solved my reading issues. And I did that in high school. I had a teacher that found out, that really kind of sorted that out for me. I have to, when I read, I have to associate everything with pictures. Sometimes I have to read books twice. I do read books. I enjoy reading books. And so a book will take me weeks to read versus somebody, like my mother-in-law, she reads a book a day. That's unfathomable to me to be able to do something like that. Why do you guys slope everything out there? Doesn't that take longer than pulling a box? Because that's what we do. That it's a California thing. Unfortunately, it's a California thing. The rental cost of the box is so high, it's cheaper to V things out. And I am going to be, hopefully I have enough time this week to work on a new video, and it will be about trenching and with V ditching with the square bucket. It's a video I'm working on. And I have on that job I was on, that the last few videos have come out. I'm doing a progressive videos series on that job. Hopefully we get back to it. The problem with that job is we are delayed because of permitting. But anyways, getting back to the trenching. See, that's dyslexia. Dyslexia, ADHD driving me down a road that I don't need to be on. But where was I? See? Senile seizure now. Oh yeah, the V-ditching with a square bucket. Typically we have a trapezoid bucket, V bucket, whatever, or just a trap bucket. And we do our slopes with that. This job, being that it was so close to the road and people walking around, we had to dig it differently. Our V buckets don't dig the 1-to-1 slope, so I had to do it with the square bucket. And now this does a couple of things. By only using a square bucket and using the methodology that I'm going to show in this video, I can show you how to dig really fast. Even at 9 feet deep, I was able to dig 600-700 feet in 5 hours. So in a day, if I actually had a full 8 hours of solid trenching, I could probably do 1,100 to 1,200 feet in a day at 9 feet deep with using a single square bucket, sloping and everything. So, and our pipe laying crew that I had behind us, we had 2 pipe layers, top man, and a operator working in the back, just setting and rocking and doing everything. And those guys were only managing 350 foot of ditch, and I'm digging 600 to 700 feet a day. So in 5 hours. So what I was doing is after I dug for a few hours, make sure the guys had plenty of work for that day and the day after, I would go back and I would help do compaction and covering pipe or rocking over the top of the pipe they laid, so that way they could keep laying pipe and keep making money. And being that it was a twin pipe system, you double the amount of pipe footage being put in. So if they laid 300 feet, they got 600 feet laid. Timothy, hello, you're late again. Stop by to drop a comment when I saw you live. I'm local 4 in Boston, operating a variety of cranes. Nice. Dude, are you the Timothy that has the... Do you have your own channel? Because there was a crane operator that I was following for a little, that I've been following and watching some of his stuff, seeing if I can use any of his stuff to kind of comment on to... use his footage on my channel just to do a commentary on. But I haven't seen any information that he doesn't put into his videos that I can really comment on. You're putting together a new video, crane spotting at a local bluefin tuna tournament. Nice. Yep, IUEO. Okay. Yeah, so you probably... So one thing you guys don't know, crane operators do a lot of traveling. I actually have my neighbor. He works for Maxim Crane, and I have a standing offer to go work for them at any time. They do a ton of work at oil refineries and stuff like that. And he's told me anytime I want a job, I have a job. And I've been told this by other companies as well. And once you get to the point that in a career like mine, you make friends, you keep those friends in other companies, so that way you always have a place to go. You just got to make a phone call if the company you're working for is really screwing you over, or you're being pushed to do things you don't like. I get pushed to do things I don't like, but I push back, and because of my station within the company, there's not much they can do to me other than just send me home for a day. They do that too many times, and then they worry about me quitting. And we're in a slump right now for work due to I don't know what, or I'm not allowed to say. It's something I don't want to get into, but like the job I'm on, we have permitting issues, which is stopping us from working, and permits may not come around till the end of the season where it starts to rain. And because of the locations of the digging that we need to do will be next to a creek, that would put us into next year. So this project that I've been making videos on may not get finished until next year. And that's just one of the side things. So right now I'm getting shuffled around. Our crew is getting shuffled to other projects, like the swimming pool one that I put some pictures up of. Okay, Timothy, you got the crane spotting channel. And I'm guessing you found me through me making a comment on your channel. I do believe I threw a couple of comments on a couple of your videos. So I do enjoy watching them, not as much as I want to, but I do check out your channel once in a while because I was told I should have been a crane operator a long time ago, but I chose to go with underground and excavators, mostly due to the fact for travel. And I see your response was, yep. Refineries are a hoot. Been in those facilities in Colorado, North Dakota, and Montana. There's your traveling, guys. If you want to travel, see the country, become a crane operator. I mean, you get to see a lot of cool things. Crane operators, you get to sit up in the top. So I got a question. Do the new cranes that they have today, do they have bathrooms? Do they have little toilets now? Because I know the old cranes, back when I first started, the guys would go up to the house, to the crane house, carrying a bucket. And is that still a thing? That's what I want to know. Is are you guys just whipping it out and whizzing off the side of the crane, hoping not to hit people below, or what? I that's just the kid in me wanting to know. So I'm waiting on this response. We're getting to the end here, guys. My room's starting to heat up. I'm gonna have to open up the door. My wife's still sleeping. That's why I've got the door closed. So my room's getting a little warm. But if you guys should go over to Timothy's channel, check out his channel if you want to know about cranes. Yeah, I'm with you, Windsor. I've run cranes, but I've never been certified. But in training, I ran on a little 20-ton hydraulic, just picking up things around the yard. Doing that. But like I said, I was told I should have been a crane operator because I've got the skills and the feel for lifting loads and things like that. And I one thing is I'm afraid of heights, so I would have to run something like a Minitwalk or something that's on the ground versus a tower crane. We were on a job a year ago where we had a guy every day throw his backpack on, climb all the way up the tower because there's not an elevator, and that was his thing. The tower cranes don't have toilets. There you go. So a bucket, so I'm imagining a 5-gallon bucket with one of those fishing toilets that with a little seat and lid that you can put on there with a bag. And that's when you go up into those tower cranes, you don't come back down. You stay up there all day. And like Windsor said, it can be super boring. You could have a day where you don't have a pick. My neighbor, like I said, my neighbor was a crane operator. He said there are days you just sit up there, you're bored out of your mind, you read a book or whatever, and just wait for somebody to come over the radio to pick something up. It could be just a beam, it could be a pile of something, or a load from the ground, just lifting it up onto the building. But when you start actually doing structural lifts, like you're picking up all the I-beams to build the actual structure of the building, then you're moving a lot. You heard of a guy that was pooping in his dinner bucket? Oh man. Uh, okay. I haven't heard that one. But all right, guys, I think we're gonna end it there on the pooping in a dinner bucket. So I've got some stuff I want to get done today. I got to change the oil in my car, and I've got some other things that I got to do in the garage. So thanks, guys, for stopping by. Timothy, please stop by again. Maybe you and I should get together or talk about whether or not I can use your videos or comment on your videos, because I like to get permission before doing stuff like that. I've got another guy that I do that with. So thanks, guys, for stopping by. come up with questions, save them up, or send them to me. I'm using a app called Circles now to do most of my communications. If you guys want a quick communication with me, you can either do it through the Facebook Messenger on my Lever Monkey channel. You can get to me through the levermonkey.com email, or like I said, the Circles with an S app. That is, I have a channel in there for chat, and that one you can post pictures and stuff like that in, and everyone else gets to see that chat. If you want to keep it private, go to the Lever Monkey on Facebook, and you can message me through that if you want a private chat, or even through Instagram. I have an Instagram channel as well. I post photos there that I don't put on my YouTube channel. So if you want to see more updates on a regular basis, I'll post more pictures there. So again, guys, thanks for hanging out and chilling with me. The rest of you guys that didn't comment on you need to comment more. Ask questions. Just comment. Just let me know what you think, or if you want answers to anything. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Don't feel afraid of commenting. I'll answer anything. Even if it's not about construction, I'll answer the questions. So next time, guys, thank you again for showing up, and we will talk to you all next time. Again, how do I turn this damn thing off?